Which province do you think is the best in mathematics? Matric results are almost out. The Department of Basic Education announced that the results are coming out on the 20th of January. And two of the subjects that are the most important globally, but very important to the Department of Basic Education, are maths and physics. And those two subjects are actually tracked at the 50% level. Other subjects are tracked at 30%, other subjects are tracked at 40%, something that's very problematic because 50% is the pass mark at university. So, which provinces did the best at mathematics last year? And what can we learn from this? And what can we expect for the coming year? So, here are the numbers. In first place was the Western Cape with 39.1%. In second place, Gauteng with 31.7% of all students getting over 50%. Northwest coming in at third with 28.5%. Free State coming in at fourth with 25%. Northern Cape with 23.2% takes fifth position. Sixth position goes to KwaZulu-Natal with 20.7%. Seventh position goes to Mpumalanga with 20.6%. And then eighth position goes to Limpopo with 19.5%. And Eastern Cape with the last position at 16%. 16% of all the students who wrote maths in matric last year got 50% and above. Let's be very clear. All of these numbers are not good. They're not good. And if you look at them, you may actually think that it's just money. It's just money that is affecting the performance of these particular provinces. You know, the Western Cape is one of the richest provinces. Gauteng is one of the richest provinces. And as a result of that, that's why they are the top performing two states. And the Eastern Cape and Limpopo don't get as much government support. They're not as wealthy as provinces. And as a result, that's why they're getting these low percentages. But we also know that there's been massive under support of education in the Eastern Cape. There are still many schools which are not up to standard. We know that textbooks in Limpopo, for example, were not being provided, and people had to take the Department of Education to courts for that. But there's something deeper. If you dive deeper into these numbers and you actually look at the number of overall students who sat for that exam in the particular province and the number who actually wrote maths. And you'll see that even though the Western Cape is doing well, they actually do something very sneaky, and I think it's worth calling out and pointing out. In the Western Cape, the overall number of students that were writing matric in 2021 was 59,000, close to 60,000. But they only have 15,200. Only 15,200 actually sitting for the maths exam. So it's like they're trying to keep out certain students from the exam so that the numbers look better than they really are. In contrast, Limpopo and Eastern Cape actually allow a high percentage of the students in their province to actually sit for these exams. If you look, Limpopo allows 42% of its students to sit for the maths exam. So that means they're giving more students an opportunity to sit for the exam. And so does the Eastern Cape. So while the Western Cape is doing well, the percentage of students that actually sit for maths is also something that we have to ask ourselves. So if they were having a comparable number of students sitting for maths as other provinces at the bottom, probably the numbers actually would be closer to each other in terms of being at about 16 to about 19%. This is part of the problem that exists with the reporting around the statistics in education, is that the numbers also are a little bit fudged. They're a little bit fudged. And something I want to tell you that's quite interesting. This right here is the exam report from last year. And at the beginning of this report, they tell you a lot about the performance that's glowing based on the 30% standard. It's only when you start getting towards BOMA page 61 that you start to actually see some of the data that I just broke down to you, the data which is actually at 50%, and only two subjects are tracked at 50% level in this whole document. That's maths and physics. But in fact, all subjects should be tracked at 50% because 50% is the pass mark at university. 50% denotes, I think, what we can all agree societally is enough knowledge. Because if you know less than 50%, you're wrong more than half the time. So that's not something that's going to be acceptable if you're going to use that knowledge in any trade or industry, whether you go to a vocational college or whether you go to a university. Anyway, what do you think? What do you think? Which province are you from? What do you think about these numbers? How many students get less than 50%? It's bad, huh? Let's have a conversation.